Welcome to a new episode of the Straight Wrestling Voices of the Indies podcast. My name is Morbo, and with me, as always, everyone's favorite US independent wrestling fan, Sebastian.
As always, thank you very much for the introduction, Morbo, and welcome to this week's episode of Straight Wrestling Voices of the Indies. And our guest can be named as one of the most multi-talented people we have in the Southeast independent wrestling scene of the United States. He's known for his work, especially for Action, but also for other promotions in the Southeast, and we are very happy to have him as our guest today, Cooper Cumbee. Thank you very much for taking the time to be our guest.
What an introduction. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
So for the people who don't know who you are, who is Cooper Cumbee?
Oh, man. Oh, good Lord. I do. If you've been to an Action show, you've probably seen Matt Griffin yelling at me. I do the audio at Action, so everything you hear on Action, I am putting out. And I do, I help out a lot there. I also am Young Boy Cooper on Blood and Honey. If you watch that, you see Matt Griffin also yelling at me there. We have a show coming up on the 30th, so that will be on IWTV Video on Demand in probably a few weeks after we film it. And I also do Dirty Finish. If you've seen some terrible shirts online, they were probably made by me. So,
can you tell us how did you get into wrestling, both as a fan but also as someone who works within the business?
Yeah, so I've been watching the WWE since I was a little boy, and I lived in Tyrone whenever Action Wrestling started. So the rec building was literally 2 minutes from where I was living at the time. So my mom took me to the very first Action show, and I have not missed one since. And it was around, I want to say, COVID, like after the lockdown. So COVID hit, and it was a few months we didn't have shows, and then they slowly started coming back with the masks and all that stuff. And I remember I was like 13, and I messaged Matt because I always wanted to be a wrestler and all that stuff, be involved. I messaged Matt, and I was like, "Hey, is there any way I can come help out?" And he let me come set up the ring. I would set up the ring, and he'd be like, "All right, you got to go." So I'd set up the ring, I'd leave, and then I'd come back, get a ticket, and watch the show as a fan. And it slowly just built on from there. I slowly built a relationship with Matt, and then, it went from me building the ring and leaving early to me building the ring and then staying around helping with some other things and then leaving. Then me staying, throughout the whole show, but then still buying a ticket and watching the show. Then he would comp me my ticket to then, it led to me doing more and more things. And now, I'm Matt Griffin's young boy on screen and in real life. So.
We know that you have been active for Action in a way that you have been controlling the tickets, that you have been involved with technical tasks and many more things. So how would you describe your position within Action Wrestling?
I would say I'm like Matt's, I would say assistant in a way. I don't do any booking stuff, any creative stuff. That's not at all in my realm. But I do everything helping Matt behind the scenes where I can, and I also am his personal driver at this point, I believe, so anytime we go anywhere, I am always driving Matt because he wants to enjoy a few drinks and not, be responsible. But I don't know. I guess that would be a good way. I guess you could just say I'm Matt's assistant. I guess that's a good way to describe my role at Action.
Would you even say that Matt Griffin is some kind of mentor for you?
Oh yeah. Matt's definitely a father figure to me. I talk to Matt almost every day, if not every day. So Matt is definitely a father figure to me for sure. And it's amazing how this wrestling world works. You know what I mean? Because it brings people together for real. Because Matt seriously has looked out for me, not just in wrestling but in real life as well. So.
You also have your own pro wrestling clothing brand called Dirty Finish brand. How did you come up with the idea to start something like this?
All right. So, as you know, I make pretty wild fucking shirts. If you know, my most popular design is the back shot shirt. I slap my thigh during back shots. So, you know, I've got a pretty guess you say fucked up sense of humor. And you know, I'm not gonna say that like other wrestling clothing brands are like scared to do more of the out there stuff, but you know, most wrestling shirts you see from other brands are like the same. You know, it's always like some nostalgia stuff or something like that. So I'm like, fuck it, why don't I just like do what comes to my head and put it on a shirt? You know, like stuff other. I would say I do the stuff people are scared to do. And that's the whole reason I started it, was because I wanted to do something different. I really like wearing out there shirts. There's been plenty of times at shows where I've been wearing a shirt about, you know, eating ass or something, and Matt's like, "Yo, you got to take that shit off." I'm like, "All right." So, I you know, that was my inspiration behind starting it, is, you know, just something that's different, something that you know, definitely stands out, and nobody else is willing to do it but me.
You have been getting involved in some matches physically. Would you also see yourself as some kind of manager or valet? And maybe do you also have ambitions to become a wrestler, or at least have one or some matches at some point?
Yeah. So, as you know from Blood and Honey, I am Matt Griffin's manager, his young boy Cooper. I'm actually hurt right now. I've been training at the WWA 4 with AR Fox since I believe it was January or February I started. But I've been out since March. I got injured. I got a knee injury. I actually have an MRI next week. But as soon as we get cleared and can go back, I'll be back training, and we'll see where it goes. You know, obviously everybody wants to be a wrestler. You know, I don't know if it'll be my thing for sure, but I definitely want some training under my belt, because, you know, I do have aspirations of maybe one day doing booking stuff and creative stuff, you know, behind the scenes as well.
Do you remember your first action show where you were a part of the crew? And what was your task at that show?
My first show, I was a part of the crew. See, you know, I remember I started helping out. Like I said, I slowly started helping out more and more. It started with just the ring, and I'd leave. I don't even remember what. I want to say it was the first show back from COVID. I don't even remember what show that was. But I would say the first show I was a part of the crew, like, you know, officially a part of the crew, was the first show I got paid, which was like not until like 2023. And that was a private show we did. It was a church show in Swanee, which is north of Atlanta. And I remember I took off work that day because Matt asked me to come help him, and I rode him up, or he rode me up, because we had the ring. He doesn't let me drive when we have the trailer on. That's one thing. I always drive unless the trailer's on. But we rode up for the Swanee show, and I couldn't believe that I got an envelope with my name on it. It was mind blowing. A whopping $40 in there for my whole day of work, which, if you know, that is a great wrestling payday. But it was, I think like Jameson Shook was on the show, like the TWE boys, like Jaden, Jameson, Casey. I want to say Adam Priest was on the show too. It was, you know, it wasn't a bad little private show we had going. But I would say that was the first show I was like a part of the crew.
Oftentimes you have been seen sitting at a laptop during action shows. When we come to the technical responsibilities that you have during the action shows, do you have some kind of background or some knowledge that you had in that department before you started to be active for action?
No, actually, no. I just did it because Matt needed a reliable audio person, or I don't even know what it's called. I guess you could just say I'm the DJ for action wrestling. But he needed somebody that he could trust and would, you know, be on time, because I'm always at the action shows at like 2:00. You know, I'm always there for setup. but he needed somebody, and he made a joke actually. So I was doing tickets. This show, I remember it was a Tyrone show. I was doing tickets, and Matt came up to me and like he made a joke. He said something like, "Oh, our audio person's late. Cooper's gonna start doing it," and I was like, "Okay." And he was like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." So, I downloaded some programs. I did a little research, and here we are. So, no, I actually had no prior knowledge or experience. It just all happened on the fly, pretty much. So,
As someone who has been a part of the action crew and involved backstage, are there any tasks or things that you have to keep in mind that the fans maybe don't think are as important as they actually are?
well, there's different things for different shows. Ring setup, is pretty easy for action. We have a pretty good crew and a pretty good scene down here. We normally have a lot of help for the ring, the A4 guys typically. But I've set up the speakers and some of the banners usually Cleet does. If you know John Miller, his dad, Cleet puts up the banners. That's one thing that is kind of a pain, is putting up those banners. That's not the sponsor banners. That's not a lot of fun. But yeah, setup's pretty easy. There's nothing that's really like mind-boggling. One thing that is a inconvenience that is kind of like a pain in the ass is going to get those pizzas last minute after doors have opened. Sometimes Matt will make me do it, but I always try to find somebody else to do that. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything too crazy that, too out of the way.
You already mentioned that you have been a wrestling fan before you got involved in independent wrestling. Would you say that your perspective on wrestling changed because you got involved within independent wrestling?
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of people talk to me and they think I'm Matt Griffin's son because of how, I guess, close we are and how much, I'm with Matt and that action and everything. So, I would say I got into the business more on the backside that most people don't see. Um, so what I mean by that is like I see it more from like a promoter's perspective than a wrestler's perspective because I've been around Matt and I see I know how his mind works pretty much, and a lot of people don't see that, and there's a lot of things that it changes your perspective on the business because it's not as simple as just, oh, let's have cool matches and do all this blah blah blah. There's a whole science behind it. So that's definitely changed my perspective in a good way. In a good way, for sure.
Following up on that, can you still watch wrestling just as a fan, or do you always have this kind of, you call it like promoter perspective, or you could say like analytical view on wrestling? So are there still shows where you are just sitting and enjoying, or do you always have this in mind, basically?
I'd say it's different for everybody because, I still watch it with the homies, like we're going tonight to my friend's house. We're watching, what's it, Double or Nothing, I think is on tonight. We're going to go watch that. I still enjoy it, but I definitely nitpick a lot. I do a lot of nitpicking. Like it's enjoyable. I have a lot of fun. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I like watching really shitty wrestling. Like that's something I really enjoy. So I would say yes, I absolutely can still enjoy. There are times I get a little burnout. I'm not gonna lie. There are times I don't really want to watch wrestling because I'm just like, holy shit. But yeah, I definitely do a lot of nitpicking now. That is a thing I do. It's a bad habit.
You already described your relationship to Matt Griffin. Would you say, what would you say? What does action and the community around it mean to you personally?
Oh, it's family. It's family. Everybody at Action is super cool, super nice. It's one of those things. I know you've been to SCI and TWE, and it's similar. As in, you come in and everybody loves you. You know what I mean? It's like nothing else in the world. I've made tons of friends, lifelong friends through Action and other wrestling shows. And I mean, it's everything. That's what I believe makes indie wrestling is the community.
You said at the beginning that when you got involved with action wrestling, that you were still only 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say, if we look at action wrestling now, and if we look at the increasing number of shows that they have at different places for different audiences, would you say that this goes simultaneously with your growth within wrestling, but maybe also on a personal level?
Oh yeah,
Like your
yeah.
growth as a human being, basically.
Yes, it's definitely it's so as you know, or you might not know, Action started running, and we were only in Tyrone, and we did occasional school shows around south of Atlanta, and now we've got Varner's and Meehan's, which is on the north side of Atlanta, and we run Fayetteville, which is now where I live, also in my backyard. So that's nice. I could walk there. But yeah, I mean, Action has just grown so much since I was first going and first started helping out. It's been incredible to watch, and it's definitely I'd say helped me shape me as a person as well. Like I said, with Matt Griffin being like a father figure, and me being somewhat involved. I'm not gonna um, it's definitely helped me grow as a person as well, for sure.
Another promotion where you have been involved is the Blood and Honey series. You elaborated on it earlier on. How would you describe Blood and Honey series, and what makes it special in your opinion?
It is Blood and Honey is just one of a kind for sure. If you haven't watched it, you should. It's on YouTube and IWTV. Man, it's special. I mean, I don't even know, like nothing else in Atlanta. I believe Blood and Honey is the only deathmatch promotion that runs in Atlanta.
It is, yeah.
Nathan Mowry does such a good job at booking Blood and Honey, and the people he brings in and the crowd he draws is so energetic. It's something else, and I think you can see that whenever you watch it, on the stream. You can see the energy that is in that crowd, and just the passion from all the talent on the roster. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it. How I am. And we got a lot of stuff planned for this next show. It's going to be a lot of fun. So,
one spontaneous question that just came to my mind: were you already a fan of deathmatch wrestling before Blood and Honey series, or did Blood and Honey series like make you into a, maybe not deathmatch fan, but someone who enjoys deathmatch wrestling?
oh, I love deathmatch wrestling. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. So the thing is with me and deathmatch wrestling is I can't watch it every day. It's one of those things that I got to watch maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe a couple times a month. It's not one of those things I can just watch every day, because then it takes the awe away from it for me. But I would drive up to Chattanooga for the ICW shows. Danny was nice enough to let me help out and do the weapons and stuff a few times whenever I've gone up. But yeah, I love some deathmatch wrestling.
Now let's talk about the Dirty Finish brand. You make shirts with slogans like "That doesn't work for me, brother." The secret of getting booked is bitching about how you don't on Facebook. Or, and this is my personal favorite, weed, gas station rhino pills, and deathmatch wrestling. How would you describe your brand?
It is everything that comes to my fucked up brain. That is how I would describe it. My brand is it's wrestling for degenerates, which I think wrestling is for degenerates. It's I don't know if you guys have Spencer's out there in Germany. I don't think that's a thing out there, but Spencer's is a store in America, and they sell just absolutely batshit crazy shirts, and I make the wrestling equivalent.
Would you maybe also say that your target audience is like hardcore independent wrestling fans? Because I feel like when, like, some of the slogans that you have on your shirts are self-explaining, but some require a certain knowledge of the business, so to speak.
I would say it's for all wrestling fans, because I feel like now we're at a point where the most casual wrestling fan now understands this insider terminology, and it's, it's not as sacred as it once was. And so I've just now got my website running, dirtyfinishbrand.com. But before I had that running, all orders would go through people just messaging me. So I'd see everybody directly that was buying from me. And I had everybody from indie wrestlers to just casual fans to people buying for, their brother or boyfriend or husband. It's my target audience, I feel, is just wrestling fans in general.
Yeah, and I would maybe also say, I don't know if you agree on that you also have levels, like that you have certain shirts that are like easy to understand. But if you have a slogan like "I cranked my hog in a wrestling venue bathroom in Piedmont, Alabama," it requires some special knowledge, don't you think?
Yeah. Like that one was made to pop the boys for sure. But that ones like that, are more for the hardcores. But then you got like, that doesn't work for me, brother. That's the Kevin Nash quote. So it's we got some more coming out that's going to be more for the casual fan that I'm hoping we'll have out soon.
Who is all part of the brand? Do you do it all by yourself, or do you have like a team around it?
Yeah, so I've been doing it by myself up until I got this website started. I now have I guess you could say, business partner, kind of, technically. Jaren, she also helps out with Action and Blood and Honey. She's the one that actually built the website for me and has been helping me out on that end. And I've been asking her for some advice on some t-shirt ideas, and she's been helping me out a little bit. Like, we've got something pretty big planned if it pans out, and she was helping me with some ideas for that. So she's great. She would be probably good to come on here and interview as well.
What does it mean to you that multiple very well-known wrestlers like Adam Priest, like Tank, or even like Effie are wearing your shirts and advertise them basically?
Oh, it feels great because they all have just loved the shirts, and like Tank was begging me for weeks for a shirt. Like, there were a few times I saw him, he's like, "Next time I see you, I want the shirt. Next time I see you, I want the shirt." And then it got to the point where he was messaging me on Facebook, and I'm like, I better get Tank this shirt before he kills me. So it feels really good. It's very rewarding seeing, highly respected talent enjoying my product. It's very rewarding. I feel like that's the word to say.
My last question before Morbo will ask what is next for you. Do you have a favorite shirt or like a favorite slogan from the ones that you already released? And we cleared this before. You can say whatever you like, so you don't have to hold back.
Perfect. So my the first design that started it all was "Pussy is temporary, graps are forever." I think that is my sleeper design. That's my favorite, or it was my favorite. And it actually is like the least popular design I've made, which shocked me. But I would say my favorite is either "Autistic by Birth, Pro Wrestling Fan by the Grace of God," or the Backshot shirt. The Backshot shirt, I think, is a classic. You can't go wrong with it. That's, I feel like that is the Dirty Finish brand shirt.
Can you tell us what are your goals for the Dirty Finish brand? What do you want it to grow into?
I on a personal end, I want it to get to a point where I can sustain myself while doing independent wrestling, possibly full time, wrestling or managing whatever it is I do once I'm not fucking hurt and I get this MRI done. But I want it to be a respected thing in the community for sure. It would be cool to see myself in a brick and mortar store at some point. I don't know what store that might be. I know there are some wrestling shops up in the northeast. Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. Going to see my shirts in a storefront. I think that would be really cool.
What are your personal goals within wrestling for the not so distant future? Are there any promotions within the Southeast region or any other region in America where you would like to get involved?
Oh, that's a great question. I would like to get more involved with TWE possibly. I feel like that is another good destination spot in the Southeast that I would like to get up to and be at more. It's just, not super close to Atlanta, but it's not a bad drive at all.
Are there things you haven't done within wrestling that you would like to do at some point in the future?
Yes, I would like to, possibly book my own show. I think that would be a lot of fun. It's something
Okay.
I have discussed before. I really that's one of my goals for sure is to do some booking stuff.
Okay, Cooper, that's it. We're at the end of the interview. And as always, the stage is yours. You can plug and promote anything you want.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. dirtyfinishbrand.com, dirtyfinishbrand.com is where you can find my shirts. I ship internationally. I ship all over the world. Typically next day shipping. You can use code Finish in them for 10% off if that's still valid when you're listening to this. The Instagram is also Dirty Finish Brand, and my personal Instagram is cooper.xxv.
Great. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I think that was a very cool insight from someone who works behind the scenes. And I'm also really curious about your upcoming possible future as a wrestler. So I wish you a speedy recovery and good luck with your pretty cool t-shirt brand. And yeah, thanks again for coming to the show.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks as always to you, Morbo, and to you, Florian, but especially to you, Cooper. We have known each other for over 3 years at this point, so I'm really happy to have you as our guest. And as Morbo said, I wish you all the best and the speedy recovery and all the best for everything that the future holds in store for you within wrestling and also in your life in general. And with that, I also want to say thank you to our listeners, and I hope you will listen to us in the future again.